Emmanuel Temple, good morning or good afternoon. Happy Valentine's Day. We're here in the garden waiting for you guys to come out. We're having our couples. Yeah, it's a little loud. Can you turn down a little bit? A little bit. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Yeah, we're having our couples. I don't want to call it a ministry. What do you call it? Program? Couples Day in the garden, celebrating Valentine's. And you guys are all welcome. We have a few things that we'd like to show you, present. And this is fantastic. You know, I hope that you guys can hear me in the parking lot. We're here out in the garden. Looking forward to spending some time with you today, showing you a little bit about microgreens and talking a little bit about what's going on, what we're offering to the community, and what we're doing next week, what we're doing today. But it's open to everyone. We're happy to open our doors and have you come inside and take a look at what's going on. And again, good afternoon. My name is John Davenport. I'm with Cali Ground Troops. I am your resident green gardener, your local gardener, the guy who you would come and ask all the questions about what to stick in the ground and when. We have a few people here that are helping today. First of all, we have Sam Pryor, who is with Nomadic Greens. He's out here helping us with the microgreens program, and he's got a few of them on the table that you guys can take home with you. We have Darlene and Dylan from Shadow Power. They are videographers and documentarians, and they're here filming right along with Lisa B Productions. She has an Etta TV Roku channel, and that's Etta stands for Evangelism Through the Arts. Did I get that right? Evangelism Through the Arts. And that's all arts. That's visual, that's sculpting, that if you want to rap, she's got all that stuff on her channel for you guys to come take a look at. And again, today is our couples program. We're out here in the garden trying to get you guys to come and take a look at what we have going on and talk a little bit about what our plans for the future and the community in the garden. Talk about what that's going to look like and how we can involve you in the future. This garden was started about 5 years ago. Sister Rosita and her husband Tony were managing the garden space before I got here, and Mother Hubbard is also involved with the garden, and we'd like to thank them for for managing this space, to keeping it the way it looks right now. And if you take a look, we have a few things planted. For example, in the back there's some Swiss chard, there's some onions. We have a lovely lemon tree that's growing. There's some cabbages and a lot of things that we planted because of wintertime, some brassicas, some things that are green and leafy. And all of these things are available for you guys. We're going to be harvesting these things next week on the 20th. If you look up against the tree, some people call them Dinosaur Collards, but that's a tree collard. There's some strawberries on the side. And all of these things are available to you guys when they start to grow. We're looking forward to harvesting those things and implementing them in your diet to make you guys a little healthier. Good morning, or good afternoon, by the way. And that's a blessing. Yeah, and then being fed by the garden is always something that it feels good. It's almost as if they taste better when they're free from the garden and you got them from the store. And I'm here for that. If you wanted to figure out how to grow those at home, or when there's times to harvest it, for tips and tricks, things like that. And we want to start having a few programs in the garden to educate people about those, the collard greens and some of the other things that we have. Next week, on the 20th, we're going to be doing an installation for our spring/summer vegetables, and we're going to be adding some things like tomatoes, potatoes, beans, those stick to your ribs things that everybody likes to eat. And we'll have those available in the next coming weeks also. If you go over and take a look at Sam's table right there, he has some microgreens available, and some of those you can actually take home with you. There's 3 different types of microgreens that Sam has. He has radishes, and I'm sure Sam will show you which one of the radishes. He has a salad mix, and there's also sunflowers over here. All of those are available to take home with you as a free sample. And just to give you an idea what you're looking at, what a microgreen is when you harvest the plant before or right around when its his first true leaves start to appear. And then after if you let them sit for a little bit, or if you don't harvest them, the flavor changes. Microgreens are really good to put on salads and sandwiches, and sometimes you can even eat them by themselves. I've tasted all 3, and they do taste a little different, so it's something to get used to. But they are very healthy, and they are packed with vitamins and nutrients. So it's a very good addition to your diet. And they taste fantastic. Sam has a few kits that you could take home if you're interested in growing your own. And he also has some microgreens to sell if you're interested in picking up some after today. Let me see, what else? Trying to think of some more stuff. The garden, as we go through the garden and you see me in the garden working on it, feel free to come in and give us your suggestions. If you think that there's something that we're not growing that you might want to see growing, or if there's something that you're growing at home and you have some questions about best practices, or if you've seen something that concerns you about your plant, I'm more than happy to take some time to answer those questions for you.
What kind of things are we going to be planting on spring?
Some of the things that our installation, we're doing an installation on the 20th of this month. And it'll be a similar program where we're offering the microgreens. But some of the things that we're going to be planting are, I know we're going to do a strawberry patch up against the fence. We're talking about a couple additional tree collards. We want to move a 3-foot line all around the entire fence, and we're talking about doing some vines, maybe some grapevines and things like that. We absolutely want to stick with what people eat. So I am always around to hear your suggestions if some of these things sound great and you want to see some more things, or if something that you like. Again, if you say, well, you know, when I was growing up, my grandfather used to plant peppers, and we don't have peppers in this garden. What's up with that? I'm the guy to talk to find out where we get those peppers. So we can even put those here. This is a community space. This is supposed to be a welcoming space. And one of the things that we talk about when we welcome in people into a garden is mindfulness, being aware of yourself, taking deep breaths in and out, experiencing the nature, letting it wash over you, taking a look at something, the same plant that you walked by before, and noticing something different about it. And right now, we'd invite you to do just that in this space. Take a look at what we have planted. There's some cabbages, some collard greens, Brussels. There's so many things. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Swiss chard, onions, and we're adding more and more. Again, on the 20th of this month, which is Saturday, we're doing a garden installation. So we're going to be taking some of these things out and replacing them with some new things. And that's what I was talking about, our summer plantings. Incidentally, if you have a garden at home, we were just having a conversation about weeds. A lot of people look at weeds and they think, oh my goodness, I got weeds taking over my garden. I look like a terrible gardener. What am I going to do? I'm here to tell you that weeds are an indicator species. They are telling you that you are experiencing mineral deficiencies in your garden or your space. And to get rid of the weeds, you just add that into your garden instead of taking out the weed. If you take the weed and you remove it, you actually increase the chances to get more weeds. So if you think about it, weeds are nature's way of letting you know that you have a deficiency in your space. Adding that deficiency means that weed would not be able to live in that space again. it would die and then add more organic matter to your garden. So that's just a different way of looking at your space and how to handle it with one thing. And that's one of the things that I like to bring, a more organic or healthy way to work with the soil in conjunction with the earth. Again, today is our couples program here, and I want to thank Pastor Brian Harris for allowing us the opportunity to be here. This garden wouldn't be this way. I can't take any credit for this at all. Sister Rosita and her husband Tony have been managing this space, and they have done a fantastic job. I am here to sort of amend where they left off. Mother Hubbard has been involved with this garden, and everybody here at the church has been nothing less than helpful. I feel very welcomed, and so do we. We'd like to extend a thank you for you guys welcoming us in your space this afternoon. I wanted to introduce the people that are here again. Dylan is right over there with he got his hand up. He's over with the gimbal. And Darlene, these two people are with Shadow Power. They are videographers and documentarians. We also have Lisa B. Productions. She's you guys' very own here at Emmanuel Temple. And she has Edda TV, which is evangelism. I keep getting that one. Evangelism through the arts. It's a Roku channel that you guys can subscribe to. And again, she's Emmanuel Temple's own. My name is John Davenport. I am with a company called Cali Ground Troops. It's my own company. I am a vet-centric company, which my name, Ground Troops, is an idea that I'm going to use the soil to ground troops. We want to put people in a holistic environment to make them feel a little bit better about themselves. And we want to extend the vet community to the civilian community so that we can get to know each other a little better. Sometimes it's difficult to say hi to a person that you're not familiar with, and I'm here to sort of bridge that gap from the vet and the civilian community. Today is our couples program here at Emmanuel Temple, and we're focusing on microgreens. And Sam Pryor, his company is Nomadic Greens, and he's got 3 different types of microgreens there. You guys can visit his table. We have some things that you can take home for free, some samples. Sam's full of information. He's happy to give you guys some information about how to grow your own microgreens at home. And there's a few kits that you can take for free to grow your own microgreens at home if you're interested in doing that today. Welcome to the space. Good afternoon. I don't know if you guys heard me introduce everyone, but I want to introduce the plants that you're walking around. Right in the back, we see a lemon tree. There's some Swiss chard and some onions. And I'm pointing, and I know you guys can't see it, so I'm just telling you what's in the garden in general. There's some broccoli. We have some collard greens. We just got rid of some tomatoes that were dying a little bit and some eggplants. So up front, you can see some of what's left, because we're going to be doing an install this Saturday on the 20th. I think it starts at 10 o'clock, 10 or 11 o'clock. I'll have to take a look at the flyer, but the idea is that we're going to pull 2 or 3 of these beds, some of the stuff out of them, and the Sustainable Solano and Emmanuel Temple is going to ask some help if you guys want to come out and help install the spring and summer vegetables that we're going to be planting in the garden. We're going to be doing potatoes, tomatoes, peppers. There's some herbs that I thought about, and I'm always interested in hearing some feedback as to what you guys like, what you eat, what you would love to see grow. Some things are beautiful, and they might not necessarily be edible. We're talking about doing an attractor garden so we can bring some butterflies and a little color in here. Those beautiful things that sometimes we overlook, which is why when we talk about entering the space, we always talk about being mindful. And again, mindfulness is just your being aware of your breathing and the environment around you, letting the plants or the garden wash over and influence your day in a positive way. We're starting to get a few more people in, and I was wondering if anybody had any questions or any concerns that they might have that I could answer right now. Any gardening buffs out there that might have anything that they want to throw at me? Go ahead. So the question was, are there acceptable or non-acceptable things, containers to grow things in? I would say the answer to that question is yes. We have to be aware that when we do makeshift or homemade containers, we want to make sure those containers don't have toxins. Thank you. Sometimes the words, we want to make sure that they don't have toxins. So for example, I've seen people use tires. A tire is not a good thing to use to plant unless you line that, because the lead and the toxins in that rubber are going to leach into your soil, which then will leach into your fruits and vegetables, and then you'll eat that. So BPA free or toxin free, those are the things that I would go for. If you're doing homemade glass, clay, fabric is a very good one, and we're actually talking about bringing some fabric pots into the garden so that we can give you guys an example of what we're talking about. In addition to that, I also want to start doing a few different techniques so you can come into the garden and take a look at what we're doing and maybe implement that same thing at home. I'm always looking to do cheats, easier, smarter, not harder work. Are there any more questions? Please. When you speak, so the question was about pests, not wanting a garden because it might attract pests. What type of pests in particular? Are we talking rodents or are we talking insects? The ones with tails. Okay. Are there things that we can do to avoid that? The answer is yes. There's a lot of things. First of all, we can do a raised bed. Taking care of the garden does not invite rodents. What actually invites rodents most of the time is when people compost and they leave food scraps and things like that out that attract the rodents. There are better ways of composting than just throwing it in a pile, although that is an option. There's something called Bokashi. I don't know if you guys have heard that before. It's a Japanese way of composting where you can take those meat scraps and things and put it in a bucket, and actually you can create compost in about 30 days. That would eliminate smells as far as meat scraps and things like that, and it would reduce the chance of you having a pest of any kind. So I honestly would say that being a little bit fastidious about how you do things, which we should always be because we're talking about food, paying attention to your garden a little bit. If you see things rotting or hanging low to the ground, those are things that you might want to pay a little bit of attention to because you want to get that up and out of their way. So, but most of my experience with pests have been through compost issues. Any more questions? Please. So more of a comment, but I think there's a question in there. She says she's a beginner and you want to use pots. Okay, so if you're a beginner, there's a whole lot of ways you can start. You can start from the seed and put something in water and let it grow. You can get starts and things like that. One of the things that I want to do here is show you both ways, how to be self-sufficient. So if you come and give me an orange and you say, I want to grow an orange, and you have an orange seed, I can show you how to do that. And I know that might be an easy one, but avocado, pineapple, you name it, we're in a climate zone where we can grow anything, and I test the limits of what anything truly, what that is. So for you, my advice is if you're interested in gardening, and this is the first time that you've actually started gardening, come out, talk to a guy like me, if not me, and get some beginning ideas of what to grow and where to put it. So for example, tomatoes, everybody starts off with tomatoes, but tomatoes sometimes have deep roots. You might have an 18-inch long, a deep root, and the tomato plant might get this tall. So is that something that you want to put on your porch, or do you want to find a different plant to start with? So there are a lot of ways you can get started. Pots are very good. That's an easy way to control growth. I think that's a good way to start. The downside is that pots can be expensive. I hope that answered your question. So that's interesting that you would say spinach or greens, and I hear Sam yelling microgreens, because that's kind of a question that you can ask this gentleman right here. Spinach and greens, if you were to grow them in your garden, typically those are winter crops. People do extend those into the summer. I will tell you that my personal experience is that they taste different, winter versus summer, but it doesn't mean that you can't grow them. The microgreens piece would allow you to get those nutrients and all of that stuff without having to worry about. So, for example, his microgreens, what you see is maybe about 6 or 7 days worth of growth, and you're already ready to eat. So, it would help if you were looking for something to add. That's a way to do it. Sir, was that a question? Okay, that's a way to do it and actually keep your cycle going throughout the entire year. If you wanted to grow something through the year and keep the same climate scenario, so to speak, there's ways to show you to do that, growing indoors, outdoors with protection and stuff like that. Anybody else? Please.
What's the best if your dirt is clay-like? What's the best thing to add to it to break it up so that you have soil that you can grow?
So our question is, if you have clay soil, what's the best thing to add to improve your soil? Right. I'm going to tell you that anytime you have a soil issue, you always add organic matter. Organic matter could be compost. It could be mulch. It could be a lot of different things, but the organic matter, the idea is the organic matter is going to break down into your soil or your clay, and it's going to leach its nutrients into the clay. Clay is a tough one. It's a challenge because sometimes clay shears water off, and you have to work a little bit to get your amendments into the soil. The only thing that I would tell you not to do is rototill. A lot of people rototill to get all that stuff in there, and I would tell you to aerate. Take a fork and move it around because you don't want to disturb. So the soil has layers, and each layer has life. They have nematodes, you have viruses, you have bacteria, you have all that stuff in the soil, and at different levels it changes. So what's down at 6 inches won't be at 2 and won't be at 2 feet, and when you move those things around like that, you wind up killing some things and you change your soil's composition, and it takes a while for it to get back to normal. So aeration is a lot better and it's healthier for your soil than rototilling, because rototilling also helps get rid of some soil too, and it releases some of the free radicals inside the soil to the air. So I would add organic matter, I would aerate, I would stay away from rototilling, and I would definitely watch when my plants are growing, when they hit that clay, to see how healthy they are, whether I would do something else to address that. Any more? So while we're thinking of questions, I want to remind you guys that Sam is here, his company, Nomadic Greens, and we're offering some microgreens for you guys to take home. You can grow those. We have some grow kits, and you can actually grow the microgreens that you're taking, but we invite you guys to go by his table and take some home. This is a couples program, and I'm not sure how many couples we have, but our thought was that we would want you to grow your love just like you grow those microgreens. And you guys are welcome to try some of those. They are sunflower. We have those over here, some radish, and a salad mix. If you don't want to take them home and you just want to try a little bit, you're welcome. There's a grow kit again, and there's a whole bunch of different things you can try. We want to bring this back out again because this is a raw food. This is something that you can eat by itself, or you can add it as a supplement to your diet, or with a salad, a soup, a sandwich, things like that. So part of the reason that we put you in the garden and grow things is to try it, to eat a little healthier, to be healthier. And this is one of the starts. Again, if you weren't here when I explained a little bit about microgreens, what they are is a plant that we're going to harvest as it gets its first set of true leaves, after it gets the cotyledon leaves. We harvest it after it gets its first set of true leaves, because after that, the flavor and the profile changes a little bit. A microgreen is a regular plant. We just harvest it earlier, and when we harvest it early like that, it is full of nutrients and vitamins. So a little goes a long way. And it might be interesting to come by and take a look at what we have going on, just to taste it, give it a taste, something different. And that's something else that we're doing. The things that we're growing, most people are typically using a tomato, for example, salsa, some salads. You might slice it, but we're looking to find unique ways of using that same tomato. Cucumbers, for example, I don't know if you're aware of this, but when we get a cucumber, what we typically do is just cut the cucumber up. You might cut the skin off. However, a smashed cucumber, if you took the cucumber and beat it open, they say that concentrates the sugars, it changes the flavor. You keep the skin on and you eat the ragged pieces because it adds a little bit more texture to your salad. And what I do is I add a little butter and hot sauce and blue cheese. You mix that in with your cucumbers and you have blue cheese, buffalo chicken, cucumbers. Try it if you think I'm joking. It tastes a whole heck of a lot like chicken. So those are different things that I am out trying to find and invite other people to give as far as recipes, to try something new, what we are used to trying. Again, I was offering a chance to get any questions. Are there any more questions that anybody has?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You have to come here to work on the garden?
Repeat. Do you have to come here?
Do you? Are you allowed to? Or you say just, are you allowed to come here and work at the community garden?
Oh, are you allowed to come in and work on the garden? The answer is yes. So I'm not exactly sure how the schedule is going to work. But I really do think that if it needs tending and you have a green thumb, I'm trying to get here about once a week so far. I've been coming on Monday mornings, and I'm coming out and I'm working on the garden. But I am working on a schedule where we're starting to implement some classes to get people working on a regular basis to make this something that you guys can own, and maybe you can ask me to help you manage it. So that's a tough question to answer. I'm going to say yes, you can come and work, because if you work, you should be able to harvest. And we're working on a schedule so that everybody can come in when they want to and participate. Any more questions? Incidentally, go ahead. Is it hard to open your own community garden? No. Incidentally, people have a different idea of what community gardening is. So some people believe a community garden is taking each plot and assigning it to a street or a group. Hey, this is your garden. You manage, you maintain that. And some people believe that the entire space is a community garden. We don't need everybody to have a tomato plant because you're going to harvest your own. We harvest as a group and we maintain our own space together. So there's one tomato plant that we all harvest from, for example. So that kind of affects the direction we go in. I don't know if I answered the question. Sir.
When did you say you were going to be doing work in here to remove some of the planters and stuff like that?
We have 2 more programs set up on the calendar. One is the 19th, and that one is called Crafts in the Garden. We're going to be here filming live. There's a Zoom class that we're going to have. And are you going to do that one too? So Shadow Power or Dylan and Darlene, or Dylan and Darlene, and Lisa B Productions will be here filming on Friday. We have a Zoom class in the morning, Crafts in the Garden, and then we also have an install on that Saturday, the 20th. So both of those are available to the public. Everybody's more than welcome to participate and come out and enjoy the time with us. Any more questions? Please. So she says after the class, she'd like a little bit more information. Everyone here has a business card or something that you can communicate with them if you're interested. I do not have any business cards with me, but I am more than happy to sit and spend time and answer all your gardening questions right now. I wanted to say, oh, that's right, I forgot about that. So thank you, Pastor Harris, for coming out and allowing us the opportunity to have this garden in your, to have this program in your space. I wanted to say thank you to Mother Hubbard and Sister Rosita and her husband for maintaining this space and even giving us this far, taking us this far. This place looks fantastic. And again, I was telling you guys, if you take a look, we have some Swiss chard, some onions, some broccoli, some collard greens. And yesterday I was in the garden pulling some of these things back, and I harvested quite a few of the tree collards over there, or the dinosaur collards, and that's what's in that pan right up on that bench right behind you guys. And those are great eating raw. You can cut those up, or you can cook them just like you do collard greens, except you have to cook them a little bit longer because they are a little bit tougher. So if you like a little texture, you cook them the same way, but if you want them to taste the same, you have to cook them a little bit longer. You treat them the exact same way that you do a regular collard green, and we have tons of those blooming, and they're ready to be harvested also, which I'm sure we're going to do on Saturday before the install also. So Saturday, this whole garden will look a little bit different. We're going to harvest some of those things that need to be harvested, and we're going to add some things that we're ready to add for the spring and summer garden. Yes, please. Yes. So yes. The question was, are we going to do any edible flowers, and does it have anything to do with the butterflies? It's called an attractor garden or a pollinator garden when you plant specifically to bring something in like a butterfly, but a lot of those flowers are edible, not just the flower itself, but the leaves and sometimes the root. And that's one of the things that I think is very interesting, to try something from all those different levels and get the different flavors. So that is absolutely something that we are looking forward to planting here. Yes. Any more questions? Okay. I think that's about it. I am super excited that you guys spent this time with us today, and I'm hoping that we get to spend more time together in this space. If you have any questions to anyone, please come up and ask them questions. Again, Dylan, Darlene, Shadow Power, Lisa B, there she is, Lisa B Productions. I see her back there taking some B-roll. We got Sam Pryor with Nomadic Greens, and if it's okay, you want to come speak? Are you guys interested in that? Would anybody like to get out in the garden and do some gardening?
Yes.
Absolutely. That sounds fantastic. So to direct you from here, I'm going to start at the one closest to me. That's fantastic. He said, just so that you guys... Oh, that was funny. I should repeat that one too. Yeah, it's optional. You don't have to get in the soil if you don't want to. Oh man. So yes, it's optional if you want to get in there and pull some things. I think that is fantastic. I love getting my hands, in the soil and with these plants. And so what we'll do, I'm going to tell you guys from here, this box that I'm looking at, and we're going to go this way all the way back. There are some collard greens right here. These collards, the entire collard green crop can go. That's all ready to be harvested. The right here on this 1, 2, 3, there's some bib lettuce. The lettuces are ready to be harvested. The green ones, I'm sure, and I can't really see the other color. I don't know if they're ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth plot on this side, in the middle, are some carrots. And all of those carrots are ready to be dug up and harvested. The Swiss chard right in front of Lisa is also ready to be harvested. So the only things that can't be harvested are the broccoli and cabbage because they're still growing in. They take a little bit more time.
You said the Swiss chard can be eaten raw.
It can be, yes. But I was the dinosaur collards or the tree collards is also what I was talking about. And the flower, I don't know, it has a different flavor, but you can take the flower. Right, so how would you pick this off without any tools, without damaging the plant? It's a good question. So you take the leaf, the stem, and you twist and pull off. If you get some stringing, try to snatch the stringing up. That's the best I can tell you. You're not going to kill the plant. It'll be okay. If you do some damage, I'm here to help you fix that. So I gave you the collards, the Swiss chard, the tree collards, the carrots, and some of the lettuce, and you guys can go crazy with all of that. You can take it all. Sure. How long do you cook collard greens? It depends. I would tell you that I've never cooked collard greens less than an hour on a slow with your seasonings and everything. And the idea is to take them off of the stem. Yeah. Some people leave them on the stem, but I think it takes a little longer to cook and they're a little tougher. About an hour. Right. And if you mix them, so some people mix collards, kale, mustards, you would cook it to the length of the longest one. Yeah. Texture. That's what you're going for with that. You're right. Go ahead and jump in there. Have at it. So when people are picking vegetables and fruits from the garden, I know a lot of people think, oh my goodness, we got to wash this off. It's got all kind of dirt and bugs on it. Believe it or not, that's not what I do. I'll just put it in the bag. That's okay. That's okay. Oh, really? So when you have to reach in and twist the leaf off of it. I told you, maybe we didn't hear that. That's okay. That's okay, right. It happens. You're not going to destroy anything. Do not be dismayed. If you think that you can eat the entire head, take that head with you. Do not leave it. Take it with you. It's all right. Oh, that's right. So when you're in the garden and you are taking things out the garden, some people wash, some people do not. The reason they do not is sometimes you're being exposed to what's in your community. It strengthens your immune system when you're eating from the soil. The soil has nutrients in it. A lot of times when I go into a unique place and I don't know what the soil is composed of, I might take a little bit of it and taste it. So it's not going to kill you. It's actually I think it's healthy to eat it with the dirt on it, or the soil, if you would. As is, yeah. So your concern is, if you build a garden at home, will you be able to keep animals, cats, dogs, things like that out of the garden? Yeah, we do have challenges with animals that don't want to listen to us. I'm wondering, when is it going to take them, when are they going to learn how to speak English?
My dog used to dig up the yams and eat.
Yeah, and a lot of animals eat the vegetables. I know people aren't used to seeing that, but some people even plant with the thought of, planting for their animals. I would tell you that that's a challenge, and that's a case-by-case basis how to keep animals out of your garden.
You can't.
It's challenging. It's really difficult. Just the one with
I say that because we live in a house that has a wonderful fig tree that we were excited about. Beautiful oranges. And I heard that's what they love.
They do. And so do, there's a lot of animals that like, especially birds. So there are challenges to not sharing your space with animals. I'll definitely tell you that. And again, it's a case-by-case basis. Sometimes you can plant things that they don't like. Sometimes you can put them in places. Sometimes you can put things in your garden to ward them off. Successfully, unsuccessfully. That's one of the challenging ones. Sure, please. So she's talking about home remedies, dishwater, dish soap and water, and it works. It works. So I would tell you that a lot of people think that Dawn, because you see a baby duck on the bottle, that's the one that you use because it's soft and it's caring. And I would tell you not to use Dawn. It still has salts in it, and it still has heavy metals. No heavy metals, but it definitely has salts, and it's not the right one. You want to use organic dish soap, because you are uptaking whatever you put on your plants. But I would put a little of that soap and water in and spray my entire plant down. Yes. Yeah. So John, as I met him and knew his name earlier, brought up a good point. In gardening, we try to do the least amount of damage, and most of the time when you're outside, you can just use your hose and spray to knock off the bugs and or the aphids or anything like that. So that's absolutely correct. Would I what? Could you buy ladybugs for the garden? They do sell ladybugs, and some people do purchase them. I would suggest planting something that the ladybugs will come on their own from. Yeah, that would be, because you have to consider when you add those ladybugs, you're putting a lot more other nature into a space that it might not be able to survive. So you might be bothering someone else's plants. If there's no ladybug food and you drop ladybugs, they're gonna go find someplace else. So sometimes it's easier to plant to attract it than to bring it into your garden. Any more questions? I love this. I love the interaction, and I love you guys appreciating your space. This is a great opportunity to get some free food. I mean, sure.
This is the first time I ever moved into a house that had no fruit. How difficult is it to plant a fruit tree? And is it okay to buy the one that's big and just put it in the middle?
The question is about fruit trees. Starting fruit trees, I guess. Some fruit trees take time to develop fruit. It might take between 7 to 10 years for some plants to develop fruit. So when you ask about buying a new versus a already mature tree, if you're interested in getting fruit sooner, the mature tree would be the smartest decision, but obviously it would cost more. And you have to treat that tree a little bit different. And I would have to be specific about that root ball with the burlap and opening it and things like that to make sure that it has a good start in order to not have wasted your money on a big tree that won't grow. That's actually kind of an important thing. Anything else?
You mentioned the pineapple.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing that, you said, here?
If you're interested, I'm up. So I don't look at the garden as a static thing. This is experiment, have fun, and enjoy the experiment through eating it, right? And if you're interested in planting a pineapple, I can actually tell you right now what I've done is taken a pot with soil or compost, cut the top of the pineapple off and just stick it right on there. Water it once a week and wait for your surprise. That's easy. Pineapples like a lot of sun too. So you want to put it in a place where it's got a lot of sun. But we can do that kind of stuff here, and that's what I was alluding to. I want to do experiments so that when you are curious about, well, I know John said X, Y, and Z. He's not here. Let me come to the church and see how he did it. It'll be sitting right here in the garden. And I think that's important. He's participating, and that's a good thing. Our class on the 19th is about kids in the garden, so we're doing crafts. That's a Zoom class, and I love the fact that we got kids in the garden. Introducing them to this space, I think, is important. We're not just talking about something to eat, but we're also talking about being aware of where your food comes from. I talk to so many adults that aren't aware of how simple things come from, like what grows on a bush, what grows on a vine, what grows. I just had a conversation with someone the other day about growing peanuts, and he was amazed that peanuts are a legume or a bean, and that when they come out the ground, they're soft and they're not salted. And I would laugh at him, but I've made mistakes like that too. And when you invite a child to the garden, that gives them the opportunity to not make those mistakes. And I think that's fantastic. Invite them and show them how to eat and grow. The Zoom class on arts and crafts is at 10 o'clock in the morning. I can send a link to Pastor Brian Harris, and I think he can put that out. And then on,
So that's just on Zoom, that's not here.
that's on Zoom, and it's here. We're going to be filming that live here in the garden. And then on the 20th, the next day, we're going to be doing the install for you guys' garden, where we're going to take some of this stuff down and replace it with our spring and summer plants.
Will it be recorded to be used later?
Yes.
Okay, because my daughter is in school.
All of the classes are going to be produced and going to be on CaliGroundTroops.com. On that site, it's going to be a YouTube site. We'll put out the information so you guys can be able to take a look at it, because it's going to take a couple days to get that turned around. And also, we'll also let Pastor Harris know and be aware of it, because I believe he wants to produce that. And the young lady that was you guys, Lisa, who was here, she's got a Roku channel that she wants to put this on also. Any more questions? How you doing? Come on up. Sabrina and Trish, right? Did I get it right? See, I got a decent memory. Come on up. We got some free stuff for you guys to enjoy. Yeah, so again, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you guys spending this time with us in your space. And I want you guys to feel like this is your space. Take control of it. I'm just here to help you grow it, appreciate it, and make it better. I'm a facilitator, but this is you guys. This is all about you. So I'm here to help. That's what I'm here for. Thank you. Thank you very much. If that's it, we're done. Thank you for spending some time. Do you want to come out, Pastor, and say anything? Oh. So we got some to-go food and some bags inside the sanctuary before you leave. Thank you very much. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. And I'm coming right to you right now. I am not from California. I'm from Ohio. I just got here in 2018. But at that time is when I discovered plants and my passion. So I've been here for about 3 years, loving plants ever since. There you go. We run. They don't have to kick us out, right? Excuse me, ma'am. Did you have a question in the back? Oh, Ohio. Okay. We got another one. Browns fan? No? Okay, well, we can't all be perfect. Jesus still loves you.
Cleveland.
I'm from Cleveland, yes. Yeah, so if that's it, I'd like to say thank you guys for coming out. Good night.